So welcome back to hashtag Easy Hungarian. Today we're going to look at how to make a noun plural. It's quite an important bit of information. So in most cases in English we add an S onto the end of a noun. So for instance bell becomes bells and shoe becomes shoes. And in Hungarian they have a similar thing, but instead of adding an S they add a K. So for instance csengu, which is bell, would become csengők with a K on the end. Similarly with cipő, shoe, if you want to say shoes you say cipők with a K on the end. But of course if only it was that simple. But even in English we do add extra letters sometimes in order for the word to make sense when it's made plural. So in English we sometimes add an ES onto the end. For example, bus becomes buses, and hero becomes heroes. And in Hungarian they do add some extra letters, and you can see why. If we go to ebéd, they don't add ebédk, so that just doesn't sound right at all, so they add an EK on the end. Ebédek, lunches. Edén becomes edények, and ember becomes emberek. Yeah, so by adding EK to the end, that makes those words plural. So there is such a thing in Hungarian called vowel harmony. I won't go into too much detail about it, otherwise I'd have to rename this channel hashtag slightly harder Hungarian. But in Hungarian, sometimes instead of adding an EK, they add an OK. And you can see again, it makes sense in these words here, oblak. Instead of becoming oblakek, it becomes oblakok. So you can sense the rhythm coming through there, the vowel harmony. Ostol, it's not ostolek, it's ostolok. And ogy becomes ogyok. Now in English, if we want to indicate quantity, for instance, if we want to say many windows, we use the plural form, we say many windows. Or if we're indicating that there's 2 or 3 of something, we might say 2 tables. Now in Hungarian, they don't actually need to say the plural form, because the word many or 2 or 3 indicates already that it's plural. They'll just simply say many window, sok oblak, or 2 table, két asztal. So that's just something to keep in mind, it'll save a lot of confusion. So we talked about adding an EK and an OK. Sometimes they also add an AK to the end. For instance here, ház becomes házok, and halál becomes halálok. There is a difference between the AK and the OK. You might be able to hear it, ok and ok. Takes a bit of practice, but it is important. There's still some other variations as well. For instance, the word pearl, gyöngy. When you're making that plural, it becomes gyöngyök. Gyöngyök. So you can see how it follows the same vowel harmony principle. This sounds complicated at first, but eventually you'll get a taste for which endings sound the most natural. Sometimes in English, the word itself changes. For example, city becomes cities when we change it into plural. Notice what happens to the Y there. And a similar thing happens in Hungarian with certain words. If you look at the word mushroom, gomba, it doesn't become gombok, it becomes gombak. So these are just a few things to keep in mind. That should give you a very good starting point to plurals in Hungarian. Of course, typing something into Google Translate when you're not sure does the trick. So why not go through the list of nouns so far on hashtag Easy Hungarian and see if you can work out the plural form. Until next time, keep practicing.